Hey everybody, David R. Becker here with BeckerArt, and today I want to talk to you about making straight lines in watercolor, basically with either masking fluid or with paint. We're going to show you how to make a straight line, and one of them is using one of these ruling pens. Ruling pens are these little metal little prongs here, and they have a little screw there to adjust the width of the paint of the line that you want to make. And you'll dip it into either masking fluid or watercolor. You can put some watercolor on your brush, and let me just show you first how to make it out of masking fluid, like putting a masking fluid line down. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the masking fluid. I use Holbein because it's very, very liquidy. And I'm just going to dip into there. You can see how it just fills in that little gap between the two metal prongs. And so what you're going to do then is just take it down to the paper and then draw. You can see I can just draw a line. Now, if I want it really straight and not being able to do it freehand, I can use the ruler that's there. So I'll dip it down again, get some more paint. Put this aside for a second. And then I will take the ruler. I kind of like to lift the ruler up because I don't want it touching, and you can put like pennies, like that type of ruler. I use a triangle ruler that has like three sides. And so I just lift it up and then I just go like this and just take it along the ruler. Look at that nice little line I made there. Super nice straight line. And that will then let that dry, paint over it, and you can rub it off afterwards. You get a beautiful, beautiful straight line. So that's one of the ways that I use a ruling pen. And you can also use it with, I'm gonna dip it in the water here, get rid of the stuff inside. So again, look at it, it's nice and clean now. And you don't have to worry about it clogging up. You can always run something in there if you need to get that cleaned up. What I can do is I can take my brush. I can take a brush like this. I can dip it any color. Let's say I'll take red or orange here. Well, let's take a dark red. We'll make it just dirty red. And I'm going to take water, a lot of water. I mean, you need enough water so it'll flow out of this. And look, I tap it across the edge of it, and I fill up the gap between the two prongs. And then what I do is, again, I can either do it freehand, or I just go like this, go across. That's the thickness of it. That's how wide apart I have it, the line. Or I can use my ruler and then just take the ruler and make the nice super straight line. All right, so that's a ruling pen. That's one way of creating either masking fluid or with watercolor. You can make lines, and that's a ruling pen. I'll clean that out really quickly again. And next way I like to do is using a watercolor pencil. Watercolor pencils are watercolor basically in stick form. And so you can use, I can wet it, I can just dump it into the water a little bit, and then I just take the ruler and I just draw. Like, you don't have to dip it into water, you just kind of go with it. And a lot of times watercolor will release it and make it look kind of fluid. And then also you can write, you can write your name even in it, and say I can just, so that's a watercolor pencil. And now if there's water that gets on there, it's gonna bleed just like what watercolor pigment would too. So watch out. So do this after you get done with most of your painting, so then you can do it afterwards. And so when you're doing your fine lines. Now I'm not sure how good, there is a general pencil, a charcoal general pencil that is white, and that also you can do the same thing for. Let's say you need a white pencil and you're going for some dark on your scene. So then get yourself a general white pastel pencil. I don't have one here at the moment, but that's one of the things you can use. And again, you can dip it in water and use it a little bit more wet. See, I think when you wet it, it just kind of glides off the pencil. All right, so that's the second way that I do straight lines, and look at how nice and straight they are. They're very straight. If you're freehanding, you have to, if you're, let's say you're doing wires on a telephone pole, then you get to a point where you're using like your brush, your rigger brush. I like a rigger brush for lines, filling it up with a paint, making it, and then practice, making your lines like nice and thin, and then just go across. That's just going across and getting your lines. That's one way. But let's say you want a straight line with, and all you have was this rigger brush. You can use this, also use the ruler, but I use the ruler only as a guide for my hand, not for the bristles of the brush. I don't want to go down here and go against the ruler, unless I maybe put pennies underneath it. Notice that people do that where they rub it across there and they kind of go like this. You can do that. You can touch it, but you got to lift it up so that it doesn't seep underneath there. I like to do it with just a guide of my hand. So I take the ruler, use my hand. See how my hand, it'll just guide across here. And so then I'll just put my my hand down and I'll grab the pen tightly or the brush tightly, and I just kind of go across, and then I just guide my hand across there. So see how nice and straight that line went? So it's like three different ways that you can possibly make straight lines. Pick out one that you find to be easiest. I mean, I think the easiest is the pencil, dipping the pencil into water and just gliding it. The rolling pen is great for masking fluid, which is a great way of putting masking fluid, because not only can you put masking fluid on a straight line with a rolling pen, but it's also, you can just, here you have the masking fluid, just dip in, and then you can write your name too. And anytime you need masking fluid, a lot of times everything always, brushes always tend to get clogged up. Well, this doesn't get clogged up at all. And so look at how nice you can do that. I know you can also put it on with one of those ink pens, which I think I have right here. But I find that this is much, much better using a ruling pen. And as I say, you need dots. You know, you just dot and tap this down, you get some beautiful dots. So if you need sparkle in your water, look at how nice those dots are. And again, let me show you also that if you do have, now this is probably still wet, and probably not down here, but when you put a wash over it of water, just say water, you know, it kind of, this is the pencil right there. And so the pencil will kind of disintegrate basically and get rid of the line. You can rub it across. But look at the masking fluid. The masking fluid, Holbein masking fluid, repels. And so you can see the line in between the masking fluid if you're using a dark color. So it just repels, and you can actually see the line. So get yourself some good masking fluid. I would suggest Holbein because it is very liquidy and it repels the pigment. And so that it gives you a really nice look, and you can see where you had put down the masking fluid to take it off. And also that's a really good thing, because a lot of times if the watercolor stays on top of the masking fluid, then when you rub it off, it gets into that area, and that defeats the purpose of making it light in the beginning. So I really highly recommend, if you're going to use a masking fluid, Holbein makes a really great masking fluid. All right, so there you have it, making straight lines in watercolor, and try it up, see which one is your favorite. I, again, personally like the watercolor pencil, but rolling pen works great too. So we'll see you on Thursday for the paint along. I do a Thursday night paint along where we paint along the same objects or same paintings during the week, and that's on Thursday night. Get my newsletter and sign up for my newsletter on my website at BeckerArt.net. And you can see what also on my newsletter or my website, you can see what we're painting that week. So just go to my website at BeckerArt.net. All right, until then, we'll see you. Bye-bye.